Welcome everyone, Grand Gnosis Master Dr. Thor Templar here, and we're going to cover an area that is, as usual with most occultism, is another area of disinformation and confusion, otherwise known as chaos magic. Now, I hear this term used all the time, and it's a code word for Satanism. People who practice chaos magic, and the term ought to tell you something. Chaos and order. Chaos is always considered evil. Order is always considered good, just as the right-hand path, meaning the path of justice and light, and the left-hand path, the path of darkness and evil. Chaos magic is one of those, and it's also one of those stupidest things in the world. Of course, you're going to get stupidity coming out of this world all the time. So it doesn't matter who they are. If you're an occultist and think that occultists are any smarter than the rest of the scumbucket fools that are on this planet, you're wrong. As a matter of fact, occultists tend to be even worse in other areas. But of course, you have to look at occultism as future science for most people because they're trying to figure things out, breaking the regular understandings of life to a certain degree. But people are caught into ancient forms of magic which are worthless. But moving back into chaos magic is basically saying that the principles of magic itself make sense. Connecting to an object, having that object mean something, believing in something is going to make it happen. So chaos magic is just a giant, irrational, positive thinking, I'm going to empower anything, there is nothing real attitude. So it's a very much of not believing in anything. I mean, basically, chaos magicians are nihilists. They believe in nothing, but basically they're all people who are the path who's been written on chaos magic, those who follow it, are basically all people following the negative Christian past or reverse Christianity, otherwise known as Satanism. Now, Satanism has nothing to do with magic or magical principles or paganism. Paganism doesn't have a Satan. Only Christianity does. But they're into what you could call black magic or negative magical practices because they don't believe in anything. And of course, they don't believe in anything right, good, or just. They follow basically what the regular society does, which is all a mask of an illusion of actual functioning in a society, when really behind the scenes they're all a bunch of criminals practicing dark magic in their own little way. There's mostly what's considered mind-screwing magic, which is doing perverse things to control you and blackmail you into certain things. There's no power in that. There's no great power there's certainly nothing more powerful in any kind of demonic connections or empowerments. Society has not been empowered by it. Society decided to take the easy road out and just work together as criminals, which has been happening since the inception of man, because this is the easy way, and people get caught and they're fearful, they're cowards, they only give a damn about themselves, on and on and on. And of course, nothing really happens. Even when so-called giant world wars happen, the people who perpetrated these things are made wealthier and allowed to escape to other countries and grow their filth, as would happen with the Nazis and the Germany in general, which is nothing more than a Muslim empowered country. So the whole idea is that when you have that, or the sick Japanese who murdered over 20 million Chinese civilians, it's okay, we make nice little radios. So the whole idea is that this is all perfectly fine, but society's that. It has nothing to do with outside forces, and everybody wants to think that some sort of outside forces are going to do something. You've got the weak-kneed Christians who want to pray to a god and, that's okay, murder me, I'll be in heaven with Jesus eating burgers. So the whole idea is that this kind of cowardice attitude is what has nothing to do with empowering, because obviously there's no empowerment there. So chaos magic is using anything out there that you can in developing the system. You could go to Disney and use the Disney figures, the classical Disney figures of beginning times, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Pluto, Goofy, and put them into god forms and give them power. Mickey Mouse is the high god, and you believe in him and you channel that energy. Well, to a certain extent, of course, this works. This is just another form of visualization, positive thinking, and using some sort of image or tool to do it. So you're going to get a certain base level of results there because you're doing all the standard things that we know work. Now, what we know work is to a certain level. Let's make sure that's fully clear. Visualization that is not done in an empowered way and added to correctly with all the little things you have to do is a tool that does work. But you're talking about a very low-level tool. Sure, it's going to help you in your life, especially if you're not doing it like most people aren't. The same thing goes with meditation and the dreaded positive thinking, which, of course, sets you up for all sorts of problems. But used in the typical manner that people do use them, all that is something that is helpful in your life. So what they're doing is transferring all this very base, low-level junk into basic belief systems going on the straight, using what is basically biophysical empowerment, your visualization, your biophysical, which is your psychic powers, what you can draw to you and from your biophysical energy realms, to manifest in your life. Now, this isn't exactly genius or anything else. The fact that this actually works to some degree proves the validity of magic. Now, anyone that has a brain, of course, and who's done any kind of research, and of course, it's like the old saying, common sense ain't very common, so there's not very many people that have brains out there. So the whole idea is that you would then think, well, the principles have been proven because it even works in this extreme silliness way. So that's because of the energy you're giving to it. Now, there are other energies. It's the same thing, the silliness of all religions. People have given their energy to it. There are billions of people. And how much people really believe in all this stuff can be argued, of course. I mean, people have to believe something because they live in a community that will murder them if not. Do they really believe that? Well, go into Europe and look at the Muslims who are smoking, drinking, and eating pork and screwing everything they can. They have absolutely no morality whatsoever. Probably the worst. They're also one of the major criminal elements in the world, etc. So the point is that they certainly, the minute they're out of their social structure, all of this falls. But keeping that in mind, you still have to understand that there are billions of people who are following different religions. And if you use a symbol, it means they've been feeding this in a thought form, energetic way, feeding this symbol. So whether that's a cross or a Buddha or anything else, that then is empowered with all these biophysical energies. So by using this energy, you are then able to tap into and get much higher levels of success, which you can never, ever, ever do with base level garbage chaos magic. And as with most cowardice Satanists and dark level people, they're afraid to come out and tell everybody. It always amazes me with so many people that they come out and they use key words. This is a prime example. If you follow these people, like the Rune Soup guy, Gordon White, who's a chaos magician, and his books are all published by the top Satanists in the world, connected to criminal, organized crime Satanists, which they're happy to publish. So the point is that this guy is connected with them. He's a chaos magician because he doesn't have the courage to come out and say that he's a Satanist and involved in all those practices. So, it's one of those very masked words that people use, but they're not really using Mickey Mouse or the Flintstones or the Power Rangers. When you really get down to these people, they're using very nasty, dark level magic. And of course, it comes from their consciousness to a certain extent, which is all very nihilistic. And the problem with nihilism, not believing in anything, is it doesn't perpetrate anything either. Believing in things is the other conundrum, which doesn't seem to generate. We see that with the two societies. You have the communist former Soviet Union and presently still owner of most of everything, and the West, so to speak, which is Christian. Well, neither of these have done anything. There's no really great morality that we can see from either side. Now, the West does preach morality, but it doesn't follow it. The Soviets don't really care. They'll kill you left or right or anything else. They're well known for this. And they're highly corrupt. Russia is totally, the whole world is controlled by organized crime, but it's not a big joke or a secret that Putin is in the pockets of all the criminals. We all knew that with the Olympics, where it cost $8 billion to make 10 miles of road, more than it cost to go to the moon. So the whole idea is that all that stuff is a complete and total joke. So there is no morality there either. So that's the unfortunate contradiction of thinking that. So spirituality is the key to everything. But the point is, chaos magic is just a nun. These people are really tapping into, since there's into their own personal low-level demonic energies and producing that. It's a very poor magical form, and it doesn't produce results. And people who do this are just using a code word because they're too cowardice to come out and state that they're Satanists. Plain and simple. And of course, using a reverse Christianity deity is amusing above all else, since you're trying to conflict with it. Not only that, as per the mythology of the Bible, all of these so-called demons that were kicked out of heaven, beaten by Saint Michael and others, and thrown out of heaven. So the point is that you're, as usual in life, people like to twist and turn everything to fit their own reality, claiming that these are so-called stronger. They're a defeated army. And this seems to be going on, is that defeat and supporting things that don't work seems to be a society way of functioning, because that way it always keeps the dysfunctional controller criminals in control. So chaos magic has to be understood as this is not some intellectual thing that some will tell you and write about, that you can use anything. Even as a system, if that was true, it's done in an arrogant, nasty, low-level, satanic way, and produces horrible results. Why not use something that's empowered? If you're going to be into satanic practices, well, Satan and demons have been around and been empowered for years. Why not use those energies? Why would you take Donald Duck and make him into your new Satan? Doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't have the energy there. So like all these aberrant, strange, magical forms, these deviants that get involved in all practices of the world. We know of all the deviants in regular religion. There certainly are in the occult sciences, where all of this comes out. So chaos magic is a weak, deviant form of magic that doesn't produce any results, perpetrated by the usual people who follow that, which are basically Satanists. Stay away from it. It has no power. Neither does the dark side. That's the dark side, and those people who control those areas are not running the world with demonic energy. They're running the world through guns, gangs, and the control of that. Remember that, people.